UFC Noche, Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili just ended, and this is going to be my main event recap. Merab Dvalishvili is your new UFC bantamweight champion. Dana White has an oxygen mask on right now. He is devastated. He is 6 foot from the edge. And Merab genuinely dominated this fight. I know some people are going to say 48-47. There was 2 judges who had it 48-47. I don't know what world they were living in. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But Merab, for all intents and purposes, absolutely dominated Sean O'Malley. And I'll start off with this. I'm actually a bit salty. I'm not salty that Sean O'Malley lost. My early prediction for the longest time was that Merab would absolutely maul Sean O'Malley and beat him. But then I'm watching back fight footage and I'm seeing Merab so reactive to the feints and getting clipped by Henry Cejudo and getting clipped by Marlon Moraes. And I swayed and I was like, you know what? Sean O'Malley's got it, going to get it done, man. The lateral movement, he's hard to catch up to. I don't think it's necessarily the takedown defense that I was banking on. I was more or less banking on the kind of defensive striking of Merab combined with the movement of O'Malley. Couldn't have been more wrong. Early prediction couldn't have been more spot on. Actual official prediction couldn't have been more shitty. So I'm a little bit annoyed when every time I change an early pick, I swear, every time I change an early pick, I get it wrong. But let's go through the fight because this was kind of I know Dana White's already kind of crapped on it a bit. I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was an exciting fight. It wasn't the craziest fight ever. It wasn't a Yuri Prochazka fight. But first round, there's a lot of weird things that happen throughout this fight, starting with the first round. First round starts off, we're like maybe 10, 20 seconds into the round, and Merab's like pointing to the cage and yelling and throwing his hands up, and O'Malley's like clearly trying to pressure and like take advantage of this opportunity where like Merab's distracted. Herb Dean jumps in. By the way, Herb was a horrible ref in this fight, by the way, but we'll go through that. Herb jumps in, tells Merab to stop yelling at O'Malley's corner, tells O'Malley's corner to stop yelling stuff at Merab. Tim Welsh is apparently yelling stuff at Merab in the corner, and that's why Merab was then reacting. So Herb kind of corrected both of them, reinitiates the fight. O'Malley starts landing some good shots to the body, mainly punches to the body, which he did throughout the fight, some jabs. Eventually, Merab just runs through him and gets a takedown. Now, as he takes him down, he doesn't just sit, I know a lot of people are going to complain about Merab's style. He starts throwing some good shots. He's not prioritizing control here in the first round. Lands a couple good shots up against the fence, but it allows O'Malley to get up. I think he landed like a big shot up against the fence, got another takedown, started to look for a guillotine at one point, had a front headlock position, almost mounted Sean O'Malley with the front headlock position, and then eventually the round ended with O'Malley getting back up on his feet. Second round, another crazy moment happens at the end of the second round. Crazy moment happened in the beginning of the first round, but end of the second round, crazy moment happened. We'll get to that in a second. Merab just basically ragdolled O'Malley. Took him down maybe a minute and a half into the round, landing big shots, big elbows. O'Malley's looking for a triangle choke at one point, midpoint through the round, is deep grabbing in the glove. Knuckle deep in Merab's glove. Herb Dean yells. I think he had already done it once. I've seen like Merab kind of react to it. Then O'Malley did it again, really blatant, trying to set up a triangle choke. Herb stops the fight and yells at O'Malley. And this one, I'm looking at O'Malley, and I'm like, you know what? O'Malley's cheating. By the way, O'Malley was grabbing the fence in the first round as well. I forgot to mention that. I think it was the first round. But it didn't really help him at all. So, I guess maybe that's why I've forgotten about it. It wasn't really impactful to the fight. But anyway, grabbing the glove in the second round, Merab proceeds to just absolutely maul O'Malley, beat him up. The end of the second round, Merab starts looking for a guillotine. It's not really there, but he's kind of got O'Malley in a seated position up against the fence. And then Merab standing and like in a seated position almost, just wrenching on Sean O'Malley's neck. And there's like 10 seconds left. And I actually blame Herb Dean for this. Herb Dean blamed Merab. Merab starts kissing O'Malley, trying to give him a hickey on the back of his neck, basically, just repeatedly kissing him. And Herb, I went back and rewatched it just to be sure. Herb says stop. Now, granted, Herb was probably saying stop kissing him. But Herb says stop. Merab walks away because he thinks it's the end of the round. O'Malley immediately jumps up and tries to KO Merab. Immediately lands one good shot. And I know it's partially Merab's fault for doing it. That was horrible reffing by Herb Dean. You said stop. So guess what? He stopped. And then he almost got KO'd for it. Imagine had O'Malley KO'd him. That would have been like the most controversial fight stoppage of all time. They would have had to run that back. And that would have been an absolute fumble by Herb Dean. But it's partially Merab's fault for, kissing on his neck. And I can't believe I'm even saying this. Herb then goes to Merab and says, that was your fault. Stop kissing. And at some point, I think it was in the first round as well, or in between after the first round. Sorry for going back now. Herb tells Tim Welsh, who's known for screaming instructions for the fighter he's coaching against. Like, he's like, Merab, come on, we want to see you throw head kicks or whatever. I'm just making up, but making up hypotheticals. But he did it against Aljo, and supposedly Aljo didn't hear him. But either way, it's kind of dirty. And Herb had yelled at him, for whatever he was doing. Maybe he's just trying to get in Merab's head, talking shit to Merab. Herb says, there's a rule against obsessive coaching or incessive coaching. I think, I don't know exactly what he said. Excessive coaching, I think, is what it was. And I guess Tim Welsh is kind of arguing with him a little bit. I don't know. I didn't really hear too much of it. But I'll say this. I think it's grimy as hell if you're trying to scream instructions for the opposite. I just think or if you're talking shit. Like, you're not the fighter. And, like, you're in there trying to talk shit to get in their head while they're fighting. I just think it's kind of dirty and grimy. But second round, Merab clearly wins, in my opinion. In my opinion, it's not even in my opinion. I mean, he was landing elbows, ground and pound, smashing him on the ground. And I realized round 2, I said it's over for O'Malley. Round 3, O'Malley had a bit of a, decent round. Merab was out grappling him, maybe a minute in, was landing some good knees to the head when O'Malley would pop up. Then O'Malley would go back down to a knee, would knee to the body and thigh. Third round, like late in the third round, O'Malley was landing a couple good shots, and I think there was a knee he landed in the third round as well. There was nowhere close to stealing the round back. I thought, okay, the knees that Merab landed did way more damage than any of the shots O'Malley landed towards the end of the round. But apparently that's the round the judges gave him, 3 and 5, which we'll get to in a second. Round 4, Merab's taking him down, mauling him, ground and pound, elbows, good shots. Nothing crazy, never close to a stoppage, but he did some decent damage. And then towards the end of the fourth round, O'Malley gets up. Merab lands a big shot against the fence and just starts throwing a big flurry against Sean O'Malley, and clearly wins round 4. It's not even up for debate. Now, round 5 is interesting because I think you could score it for Merab. I scored it for O'Malley. Merab, is kind of not engaging early. Herb's yelling, work, like trying to entice Merab into making a mistake almost. The commentary team was pissed off about it. I was annoyed about it. I think it's crazy. Like, Merab's clearly winning. I understand you can't stall, but O'Malley's a very dangerous striker. And the fact that you're trying to kind of put your finger on the scale for a fight, I think is crazy considering he's pushed the pace for the first 4 rounds. And now, because he's moving a little, basically Merab was taking O'Malley's original game plan and enacting it in the 5th round. That's essentially what he was doing because he's circling. Herb's going, work. And even when they were on the ground as well, I think in the 4th round, he was doing the same shit. Or maybe it was in the 5th round when they were on the ground as well. But Merab gets a takedown, gets a little bit of damage off on the ground, not that much. O'Malley eventually gets back up. By the way, multiple of these takedowns were in the dead center of the cage. Eventually O'Malley would work to the cage, or some of them were near the cage. Where like the first round, there was a trip near the cage. But O'Malley gets up, lands a teep kick that kind of hurts Merab. Now, I went back and rewatched this. I don't think he was anywhere close to being stopped, but it definitely bothered him. He starts circling heavily, drops his hands, and then O'Malley just starts spamming the teep kick to the body of Merab. Merab eats him. At one point, Merab looks over at the clock and kind of smiles, and O'Malley's trying to track him down. But I think O'Malley made a massive mistake because even when he had Merab hurt, he pressed and closed the distance and then didn't throw anything with his hands. And I think it was a kind of a crucial mistake from O'Malley. He threw a couple more teep kicks, but really didn't find, any crazy success after hurting him to the body. Then Merab, last 10 seconds, gets like a single leg takedown, does a little bit of damage. But I scored the round for O'Malley, even though Merab got 2 takedowns and did a little bit of ground and pound. And even landed a couple shots on the feet as well. I thought O'Malley hurting him with the teep, won him the 5th round. So that's crazy to say that O'Malley won the 5th round. But Merab won the first 4. 2 judges gave 3 and 5 to O'Malley. So this was almost close to a robbery. Imagine had they, like not that round 1 was close, but round 1 was like similar to round 3 where like Merab clearly won, but like maybe it was debatable for the judges. So it's like disgusts me that this was damn near a robbery, even though Merab clearly dominated O'Malley here. And it just shows how bad judging is. One judge had it right, 49-46 for Merab Dvalishvili, and he's the new bantamweight champion. O'Malley in this fight, he fumbled a huge opportunity, and this makes the Sphere a flop officially. And I made a video recently saying O'Malley could be a massive star. This was his coming out party. This is why Dana White is so upset. Because they spent all this money, there was all these eyeballs on the Sphere, and it was supposed to be O'Malley's coming out party. They protected him. They gave him the best set of circumstances against Aljamain Sterling. He took advantage of it, okay? Then they let him get a layup in his first title defense against Chito Vera. Then they're like, all right, now he's ready for Merab. And they expected him to go out there. And with a big win here, and I covered this extensively, I think Sean O'Malley was going to become one of the biggest draws in the UFC. Unfortunately, that's not the case. His star power diminished tonight. And Merab, say what you will about his boring style, and I know a lot of people are going to disrespect Merab and say Merab's boring and, oh, all he does is clinch. This is MMA. This is MMA. You guys know that, right? You know, if you want to go watch WWE, go watch WWE. You know, I understand that O'Malley visually is more exciting as a fighter, okay? I thought this was an exciting fight. Again, it's not crazy rewatchability. But for me, it was two elite level fighters. It was an interesting stylistic clash. And it was like, can O'Malley find one of these shots? Merab, is he having trouble closing distance? There was multiple times. You know, I didn't go through every moment, every round. There was multiple times, like in the 5th round, and I think in the 3rd round as well, in the late 3rd round, where Merab's like kind of shooting, like getting these little single legs, almost ankle picks. And O'Malley was defending well. I don't think this fight was a total loss for Sean O'Malley. This doesn't... Watching this fight, and I knew going into this fight, like after the result, we were going to say, oh, we should have saw that coming. I should have saw this coming a mile away. I should have saw it coming a mile away. But I also do think there is a bright point for O'Malley. I don't believe in elevating fighters off of losses. And O'Malley's resume, looking back, looks like absolute dog shit, to be quite honest. But I think O'Malley, he's so young. He can still improve. His striking's so good. And you have Dana White already making excuses for him, but we'll talk about that in a second. But I don't think, like, this wasn't a fight where you say, you know, O'Malley is you know, it's not like, oh, he'll never be champion again. Will he be champion again with Umar Merab at the top of the division? Probably not. But I don't think this fight was a total loss for Sean O'Malley. Did he get exposed? Yes, he got exposed. Maybe I'll even make a video. Sean O'Malley got exposed at UFC Noche by Merab. He exposed his grappling, but we kind of already knew that. That's why I picked Aljo against him. And, you know, looking back at O'Malley's resume now, the Jan fight was a robbery. I thought Jan won 30-27. Out-grappled him, but I thought the striking is what set up those takedowns, and Merab wasn't going to have the striking. Merab landed a head kick at one point, I think maybe in the 2nd round or 3rd round. He landed a couple good punches on the feet. When O'Malley was getting up against the fence, he would land good shots there. Merab looked very, very good tonight. He looked like one of the best fighters in the world. He proved that he's one of the best fighters in the world. And it's not like O'Malley had no moments, but it is, you know, his grappling definitely needs some work. He had optimal circumstances against Aljamain Sterling. He was able to pull it off, fair enough. But looking at his resume, that's his only good win. Marlon Vera was a layup win, let's all be honest, you know, and I understand they had the beef from before. It was just to get him a title defense under his belt and help build his star power. That's why they didn't book him against Merab immediately. Otherwise, he'd be like Sean Strickland and have no title defenses. And it's sad because you're already seeing Dana White going out of his way to make excuses for Sean O'Malley, and it's disgusting. He's like, yeah, Sean looked really flat tonight. He wasn't throwing, and, you know, kind of just making excuses for why Sean lost and saying, like, there might be some other reason why Sean lost. Let me tell you why Sean lost. Let me tell you why Sean was inactive on the feet. Because Merab was there taking advantage of every opportunity. Merab was landing good inside leg kicks. Merab was just rushing forward and football tackling him multiple times. Merab would get to, like, kind of a body lock and then swim under the armpit of O'Malley and kind of get the back and then start tripping him down. That's what he did. That's his first takedown in the 1st round. He did that multiple times throughout this fight. Once he closed the distance and was able to kind of get a grip on O'Malley, he was able to take him down at will. At will. And that's not really a huge knock on Sean O'Malley because Merab is one of the best grapplers in the division, and I understand he doesn't have the best finishing power, and I think he could definitely work on his jiu-jitsu. You know, if he had, imagine he had Aljamain Sterling jiu-jitsu, he would have finished O'Malley tonight. But I will tell you now, looking back, like, Aljo in a rematch on a full camp, not kind of forced on a quick turnaround, I think Aljo probably wins. I think he probably wins. Umar Nurmagomedov coming up, I think Umar beats Sean O'Malley. You know, not that that's going to happen next. Maybe they give him Henry Cejudo. What I would like to see for Sean O'Malley next would be the Piotr Jan fight. I would love to see Sean O'Malley, Piotr Jan too. I thought Jan got brutally robbed. That was a great fight, but Jan got brutally robbed. Rebook that. I think the UFC is going to find like a layup for Sean O'Malley, like maybe a Rob Font, maybe a Henry Cejudo, but Henry Cejudo, I wouldn't even count that as a guaranteed win, to be quite honest. And he's already calling out Sean O'Malley on social media. I wonder if there's going to be any credence to the Henry Cejudo injury rumors. I don't think. I feel, you know, but there was a lot of pressure. You can't pull out a UFC Noche at the Sphere, especially main event. But yeah, I mean, O'Malley was just, he got out grappled tonight. He got out worked tonight. he really was frozen on the feet because of the fear of the takedown. And then Merab would have moments on the feet as well. And again, I don't think this was a boring fight. People are going to crap on Merab and say he's a horrible fighter and say he's boring and all he does is grapple. Go watch WWE. Go watch kickboxing. If all you want is like crazy, like every fight has to be the most crazy, epic fight you ever seen. Merab implemented a game plan, a high-level game plan. He was talking shit all night too, which is crazy. Even after he got teeped and hurt, he was talking shit to O'Malley, like literally like 10 seconds later. It was craziness. So Merab is the champion. He's going to be very tough to beat. He was asked about Umar in the post-fight, which I think is incredibly disrespectful. I made a video earlier this week that Merab was like preemptively ducking Umar, but ultimately I think he would. The UFC came into this fight with two options. They were hoping and praying option A, O'Malley would win and flatline Merab and, you know, transcend into a mega star for the UFC. Option B is force Merab into a quick turnaround against Umar Nurmagomedov because Umar Nurmagomedov is infinitely more promotable than Merab. And they ask him immediately about Umar. Merab like kind of pauses. They show Umar on, you know, in a split screen. And it's just like, I can already see the writing on the wall. And it's just disgusting to me. And maybe this is a topic for another video, but it's just like, the UFC might as well be rigging fights at this point. You can tell, or you could see, let me know if you guys picked up on this as well, or maybe I'm crazy. But it was like, you could see what they were, the writing was on the wall. You think they would have done that to Sean O'Malley, put Umar on the split screen? Oh, it looks like Umar's next for you. By the way, Topuria would have took O'Malley's life. Not only would he chinned him, he could have ragdolled him and subbed him as well. Topuria would destroy O'Malley. I never want to see that fight. But ultimately, Merab gets it done. I'm super impressed with Merab. He had a hard, you know, it's a hard task tracking O'Malley down. And it's not like he just, like, I know people say, oh, well, he just spammed takedowns against Jan. That's the only reason he won. He didn't really spam takedowns against O'Malley. You know, he shot a decent amount of takedowns, but he struck for a decent period of time in every single round. Like, it was usually, and I don't remember specifically the timing of every single round, but we're like it's like 2 minutes into like at least 3 of the rounds before he even shot a takedown. He was striking for prolonged periods of time. And O'Malley had nothing but like a couple punches to the body and like one knee. And he went in that 5th round. He looked defeated. He looked, you know, like he dejected. He looked like, you know, John Anik was getting ready to say, that is not the cloth from which he is cut. And I think O'Malley's still young. He can go build back. And ultimately, I think Merab, if the UFC actually got behind him, I think Merab's an interesting character. You know, I think he already has one of the greatest resumes at bantamweight. I mean, this is going to be the craziest take, and I'll really have to think on this. But just throwing this out there, Merab might already be the GOAT at bantamweight. I mean, look at who he's beaten. The who's who. He's beaten, you know, Sean O'Malley now to take the belt off him. He beat Henry Cejudo, former champion. He beat Jose Aldo, former featherweight champion. He's beaten so many great names. I mean, Marlon Moraes, former title contender. And that was before Marlon had completely fallen off a cliff. And now he's going to fight most likely Umar next. I think he will fight Umar next. And I think that's a banger fight. I think either guy could win that fight. I favor Umar Nurmagomedov, but I can't wait for that matchup. I think the UFC is going to try to force him on a quick turnaround. Mark my words. Maybe he'll take it. Maybe he won't. Merab's kind of dumb, so maybe he will take it. But overall, I enjoyed the main event. It wasn't a crazy, exciting event. But for Merab to go out there against an elite striker like O'Malley, strike with him for prolonged periods of time, have success himself, get hurt in the 5th round, ragdoll him throughout, eat knees. At one point, he got cut open by an elbow on the bottom right after he took O'Malley down. I think that was in the 2nd round. I don't think I mentioned that. And then almost get robbed. I know I say almost, but 1 round away, he's getting robbed on 2 judges' scorecards. 48-47 is insane. But Merab gets it done with his grappling. O'Malley needs to go back to the drawing board and work on his grappling. If he can't fend off those takedowns from Merab, I don't think he's fending them off from Umar Nurmagomedov, and Umar has better jiu-jitsu and way better striking. So it's going to be interesting to see how they try to build back Sean O'Malley. But tonight at UFC Noche, Merab Dvalishvili is your new bantamweight champion, dominating Sean O'Malley and winning via decision. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.